Listen, all I'm saying, if I was a religious or holy person, if my god or deity or people that I follow rules for looks at me after cutting my head off, and I'm saying, you know what, if this is how it's gotta be, at least I'll see paradise. If they look at me and deadass say, heaven is a lie, and this is all a story that we told you because this is just one big experiment for us, the people that come onto this island, they're just extra fuel for the experiment, I'd probably just die on the spot. Like, that was ice cold, just casually telling someone. I mean, we end last week, we see Groot's head go flying, we're all thinking, let's hope he's gonna be okay, we've all come to appreciate this character, and then just, honestly, maybe it would have been nicer if he did just immediately die, because that was ice cold. The Tencent aren't playing, and this episode, it brought the heat, and I think it probably reminds any gamer out there of that moment where you're convinced you killed the boss. The boss music goes away, maybe a little cutscene plays, and then what's that? What's that in the distance? Oh shit, the boss music is getting even more intense, and this is why, my friends, you always stab the damn creature repeatedly if you have the ability to do so, because that's what ends up killing a fool as seen by Senta. Now, full live reaction to this wonderful episode is available on my Patreon if you do want to see my full uncut thoughts as I watch today's very exciting, brutal, but a little depressing episode. I'm glad we have one more episode. I was totally under the assumption this was all over, and I think it's just because of the delays and breaks. I wasn't really expecting the last episode of the show to air on a Saturday when a bunch of new anime are starting to kick off, but I'm happy it's here nonetheless. I mean, Senta's death, I saw coming a mile away. I literally said it out loud because anyone who sees the flashbacks naturally assumes, oh, someone about to die. Though to Hell's Paradise credit, they did really bamboozle a lot of us, myself included, with the teacher-student relationship, because usually it's the teacher that dies, the student then has to pick up the sword and become the master so he can teach the new apprentice, and instead they completely bamboozled us with that backstory. So, honestly, I was willing to say maybe I was wrong, maybe I'm looking into this, but no, like, as soon as I saw them walk away after assuming they won, I thought to myself, please don't, you already made the mistake once. You literally like, hey, no one can deal with this, we cut off his head, no monster can live from that. Learn from your mistakes. If you do this incredible move and nothing's moving, cut that fool apart. Bury him into different pieces, like, I would not just be sitting there. Granted, we know that using this ability is very wear and tear. Our boy Gabimaru is literally coughing up blood after using a shit ton of Tau. I mean, Sagiri, like, this is a very painful move to do, especially like they're coughing up blood and yeah, they need to catch their breath. But all I'm saying is please tell me this is a lesson for them, that the next time they go up against any of these characters, that even if it looks like they're dead, they start cutting. I mean, at one point Senta was like literally like stabbing a fool repeatedly, or at least attempting to. Why wasn't he doing that? Like just sitting there? Like, immediately when they're like, okay, should we catch our breath? Anywhere but here. Like, the natural survival instincts just weren't there, which it does make sense. They're catching their breath, they just fought for their life. But as an outsider looking in, I'm thinking, oh man, Senta 100% gonna be the character who dies, and this was even before his flashback. Because he seemingly is too intelligent to keep around. What I mean is, if an author kept a character like Senta around for too long, eventually there'd be no real way to have a lot of shocking plot twists or information revealed, because if we rewind back when they first went to that village, I mean, he was already kind of like revealing things at a pretty fast pace. So his character not making it to season 2, that's something I've mentioned before and what I was assuming would happen, because he seemed like it would make things too convenient. Not that he was this incredible fighter, but more so like his mind was just maybe a little too OP for a show that's trying to reveal a lot of twists and turns on this hell-forsaken island. And honestly, I feel bad that he's gone. I'm not like shedding a tear or heartbroken in any way, but they did a good job with the flashback in terms of showing how like he tried to use his mind, then he became almost emotionless, and then why he seemingly got so attached to Yuzu, because I mean, obviously him lying to himself pretty much his whole life and then not being able to lie to others, but then you have someone like her who lies to everyone but herself, that kind of envy and awestruck. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, and I had no idea what the title of the episode meant initially jumping in, but when you see her dancing after kicking the pile of heads that were stacked and him drawing, it's what could have been moment for sure, but I figured he would die. I'm just like, man, this is why you, if you're dealing with a monster like this, cut that fool into multiple parts, bury him in different holes. Don't let this fool just chill there, because even if he was actually dead, I don't trust this island not to do something, and honestly that's a pretty horrifying image as you see like 2 corpses mix into one head, and I'm like, bruh, this island be messed the hell up. But the fight was cool. They did something with the goo. I mean, ever since we first saw that scene where out of context people are thinking, what in the hell is Hell's Paradise all about? Because I think everyone like looked at that and said that kind of looked like cum the first time we saw it. But the ability was actually pretty sick. So she drinks this medicine, which is like poison, and then in doing so her body gets coated in it, and she uses it as like these webs or threads. And honestly, man, initially when just holding him still, I thought that was pretty cool. But the idea of taking the attribute of the poison and melting this fool's skin into, he had like his waist downwards, she burnt everything to a crisp. This is what I was hoping maybe they could do after they seemingly defeated him. Maybe take another shot of that and just burn his body to a crisp. Just make sure nothing's gonna come back to bite you in the ass. And we see what happens when we don't take extra precautions. Like I said, it does make sense that they're winded and wounded, they just want to catch their breath, but man, it's just like, Senta wasn't even close to being one of my favorite characters in this show, but I'm just thinking, man, you did have to go out like this. You had potential to stay alive. But I guess when you have last week and combined with this week, it felt like they were doing a little too well against the Tenson and their followers, so I guess they had to remind us that no, this island's gonna kill most of these characters. And after casually revealing that the elixir of life is also a lie, everything's a lie on this island. This is just one big breeding facility to do wild experimentations, and for the first time humans making it there in, what, 1,000 years, this dude said? Yeah, I can understand why maybe humans don't like to wander that far if they do survive the hell-forsaken island, cause bitches be crazy here. I really hope we get a season 2 of this. I mean, of course, I'm excited for episode 13 next week, but I've been loving it. The cast of characters is fun, I think, even though when it gets predictable, like, oh, clearly the body's left alone, here's a backstory of Senta, he's about to get stabbed in some way, though, to be fair, they did bait me earlier when he was like holding him. I thought that was going to be his death, but showed the swordsmanship of being able to cut someone like that and not cut the person behind him. There's predictability elements to it, but they do such a good job with the combat and the way that they explain this Tau ability and just the breathing techniques. It's, you know, a lot of times when you see some of these moves, you're like, oh, you know, you just kind of feel like, okay, coming off of something like Demon Slayer, you understand breathing techniques, and it just feels like a natural transition to something like this, mixture with like Nen from Hunter x Hunter. It's just really, really cool what they're able to do, and as I keep saying, this world is one fascinating, brutal environment that I am very glad that I don't have to touch with a 1,000-foot pole, but I'm so fascinated watching any of these characters deal with it, so let's see how they wrap it up next week, and fingers crossed for season 2. Let me know what you're feeling down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more Hell's Paradise on the channel. And as mentioned, we do have a full live reaction to this episode available on the Patreon if you're interested, and while you're there, you'll also get a video shout out. So today we have Shadow Cyber Demon, Teeny Bopper, and Xeno, so I appreciate the support everyone. Please take care and have a good one.